Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Lands regarding irregular allocation of a parcel of land in Gongoni Village, Junju Ward in Kilifi South Constituency. Honorable Speaker, indigenous people of Gongoni were displaced from their ancestral land by the colonial government purportedly for public use. After attainment of independence, the displaced residents never resettled or Sisal Development Company for commercial activities on the land. The parcel of land LR number 140/4/Mela North was leased to the Pingo Sisal and Leasing Company. Despite the allocation of the said property, the company never conducted any commercial activities on the land for the entire lease period until its expiry in 2016. Notably, Mr. Speaker, when residents conducted an official search to authenticate the status of the land in November 2023, the results revealed that the land was issued to one Mr. Said Swale Musa and Mr. Shifea Swale Musa, and a new certificate of lease number CR 82241. It is astonishing that the said persons are neither residents of Gongoni village nor trustees of the Gongoni community. The irregular allocation of the said parcel of land has caused anguish to the residents, noting that by law, any land that is under leasehold reverts back to the government upon expiry of such lease. Honorable Speaker, it is against this backdrop that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Lands on the following. 1. Under what circumstances was LR number 140/4/Mela North registered in the name of Mr. Saidi Swale Musa and Shifaye Swale Musa despite being community land? 2. What is the status of investigation into the irregular allocation of the said parcel of land? 3. What measures will the Minister of Lands put in place to revoke the allocation of the said land if found in contravention of the law and revert the same to Gongoni community? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairman Lands, Nyamoko. Give him the mic. Yes, member for Changamwe. Give Nyamoko, take your seat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to express an interest in this matter. The said land belongs to our family. We have a title deed, genuine one, and the honorable member is aware that we own that piece of land. The so-called Shifea side are actually my cousins. So I wish to state very categorical here that this land belongs to us and we have a title deed, which is a genuine title deed. And the honorable member is aware. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker.
Moko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we'll give a response in 2 weeks' time. 14 days.
Next order. Pardon? Yes, Bowen.
Mr. Speaker, I thought the owner of the land has already responded. I don't know if there is need for the committee again to go look into who is the owner of the land when the owner is already here and he has said that the land belongs to him. Is there a need for the committee again to go and look who is the owner?
That notwithstanding, the statement is directed at the chairman of lands. He has to come and respond. Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, resolution to hold a Tuesday morning sitting.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 33C, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Tuesday, 25th June 2024, commencing at 9:30 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business. Honorable Speaker, members will realize we have very crucial business ahead of us today, top among them being the continuation of the finance bill. Honorable Speaker, I must thank the Gen Zs also, because, Honorable Speaker, for the first time in the history of this House, especially this 13th Parliament, at 8:30 a.m., not less than 50 members were already logged in. So, if not for anything else, the Gen Zs have made members of Parliament to report to work very early. And it's a good thing. It's the beauty of our democracy, Honorable Speaker. And now that we reported this early, Honorable Speaker, to contribute to the finance bill, I am certain, if you look at the numbers, we may not have enough time to finish with the finance bill today and move on to the IEBC amendments from the Senate. And members will understand how crucial that business is. So we want to make sure that we have adequate time to complete the finance bill, the committee of the whole, without anticipating debate next week, and also be able to complete with the IEBC amendments from the Senate in time before we progress to the short recess that is due the following week. And Honorable Speaker, you are aware, next week is the last week of this month, and we ought to have passed both the finance bill and the appropriations bill that are also lined up next week, which I will be speaking to later this afternoon during the usual Thursday statement. I therefore wish to appeal to members to support so that we have adequate time to process all this business. And I wish to request, I beg to move and request the Leader of Minority to second.
The Honorable Speaker, I wish to second, and for the simple reason that I consider the matter of the IBC so crucial that we cannot afford to delay it any further. And therefore, let's proceed in the manner proposed by the Leader of Majority. I second.
Order, honorable members on their feet, take your seats. Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 33C, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Tuesday, 25th June 2024, commencing at 9:30 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business. Put the question. Yes. Member for Seme.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I rise to support, there's a related matter that I would like to raise, but basically, again, to seek clarification from you, Mr. Speaker. You had indicated earlier, and I know that we are likely to go to the Committee of the Whole House on the finance bill. And that's one of the reasons we are really sitting on that day, on Tuesday. But also, you indicated last evening that those who want to make amendments should have their amendments in by 1 p.m. today. Mr. Speaker, the clarification I was seeking, normally we have more time. Why are we limiting today if the Committee of the Whole House is likely to be on Tuesday, as you had indicated? Because one would have thought that even up to tomorrow, midday, would still be adequate. That's the clarification I needed. But otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I support the Tuesday sitting.
Before I put the question, Honorable Nyikal, I have made a pronouncement about 4 times on this floor that those who have amendments file them by 1 o'clock today. For the simple reason that 1, the bill has attracted a lot of contentious arguments and proposals. 2, the committee itself, in its report, has recommended a myriad of amendments to the bill. 3, we want to have sufficient time for amendments that may be identical or overlapping to be harmonized. And we can't do that if we are constrained with time. 4, if you are speaking for yourself, you are the sort of member of parliament who I know would draft an amendment before the bill is even moved. So I don't know why you want extra time. My direction that all amendments be filed by 1 o'clock stands. I don't think it's injurious to any member. I don't think it oppresses any member. And since the time I started making the pronouncement, no member has raised any reservation, Dr. Nyikal. And I believe your reservation is not only unhelpful, but will just draw us back to management of House business that will not be helpful. Yes. Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wanted to add to your 4 points.
Yes.
5, since you got up to 4, is that this is a money bill. And being a money bill in line with Article 114 and all standing orders, all the amendments that members will be proposing must be shared with the National Treasury for concurrence. And therefore, if we allow more time, then there will be no time for the back and forth between the National Assembly and Treasury. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You should actually appreciate the Speaker, because ordinarily, the office that receives amendments will just tell you it has been closed. At least I've given you sufficient notice on the direction of time. Thank you. Yes, Okello? Let's not eat into debating time. Yes. Give Okello the mic.
Honorable Speaker, I've got a question related to that, whereas I also support the issue of IBC that needs to be fast-tracked based on the fact that at least not less than 2 constituencies are now disenfranchised as a result of either
Jared Okello, that is a moot point. Your own leader has said this here 5 times.
Yeah, I've got a question.
I don't know why you should repeat it.
I'm coming to a question, Honorable
Take
Speaker.
your seat. If you want to use up your leader's powers, the Speaker will not assist you on that. Honorable members, I now put the question, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 33C, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Tuesday, 25th June 2024, commencing at 9:30 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 30 of 2024, resumption of debate.
Yes, Honorable Wandai. Give him the mic. Give him the mic. Why? His mic is... I'm told your mic is malfunctioning. Put where Kainan is.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, sorry. Honorable Speaker, I've got an issue I need to raise now before we can proceed with the debate that was going on yesterday. Honorable Speaker, my attention has been drawn to a letter purportedly emanating from the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury. I had dated 19th June, that was yesterday, and addressed to the Clerk of the National Assembly. It's also copied to the Right Honorable Speaker. And it's a letter concerning request for the advisory on conclusion of supply and ways and means process by the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, going through this letter in a nutshell, really, in summary, the National Treasury CS is purporting to direct this House that, and I want just to read some paragraph here, that we further note that following the ongoing debate on the Finance Bill 2024, should the Finance Bill 2024 be approved as proposed by the National Treasury, the National Assembly can proceed with the consideration of the appropriations bill as published. However, if the revenue-raising measures contained in the Finance Bill are not approved by the National Assembly, there will be a likely revenue shortfall of approximately Kenya shillings 200 billion. In order to remain within the provisions of the law, I'm just paraphrasing, we propose the following measures, and so on and so forth. Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, the Cabinet Secretary is treading on very slippery grounds, and indeed dangerous grounds. First, by purporting to direct the House on what it's supposed to do in its legislative role. Two, is also anticipating debate, because as far as I'm aware, we are still at the stage of debating this bill. It is not up the duty of anybody out there to start anticipating how the bill will go. But more importantly, Honorable Speaker, Article 221 of the Constitution, if you can listen to, just pay me attention. Article 221 of the Constitution, Article 6, it says that when the estimates of national government expenditure and the estimates of expenditure for the judiciary and parliament have been approved by the National Assembly, they shall be included in an appropriation bill which shall be introduced into the National Assembly to authorize withdrawal from the Consolidated Fund, and so on and so forth. That is the Constitution. But if you go further to the Public Finance Management Act, Section 40, subsection 5, it says, and I want just to read quickly, that any of the recommendations made by the relevant committee of the National Assembly or adopted by the National Assembly on revenue matters shall, among other things, ensure that the total amount of revenue raised is consistent with the approved fiscal framework and the Division of Revenue Act. What am I saying? If you read the Constitution at Article 221(5), together with the Public Finance Management Act, Section 40, Honorable Speaker, subsection 5, you arrive at the conclusion that the appropriations bill can only be informed by the estimates, not by the finance bill, Honorable Speaker. That the appropriations bill can only flow or emanate from the estimates that we have actually approved last week or so in this House. So what, therefore, is the CS purporting to say here? He's saying that if we don't approve the finance bill as in the form it originated from, I think, National Treasury, we shall have, therefore, to review or change the appropriations bill to conform with the finance bill as passed. Honorable Speaker, my submission is that it is the bill, first and foremost, we need to know from the chair of the Committee on Finance. Because the work of the Committee on Finance is to look for ways to raise money to finance the budget that has been passed. Are they saying that they were unable to look for money to finance the budget that we passed last week? If so, the logical thing, Honorable Speaker, is to do a supplementary budget. That is the only logical thing, not to do what the CS is purporting to direct us to do here. So what I want to ask you, Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, is to call the CS to order. To order from your chair. He cannot be seen to be supervising this House. In other words, actually he's trying to put pressure on this House to act in a particular manner. Yes. The CS of National Treasury, who is not elected by anybody, as far as I'm concerned, is purporting to supervise this House in its legislative role. Something that flies in the face of the Constitution and the relevant law, Honorable Speaker. So I would want at the very least that you direct that this letter be withdrawn by the National Treasury. And secondly, to compel him to commit not to attempt now or in the future to try to dictate to this House in the manner it's supposed to conduct its business. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and let me thank the Leader of Majority for raising this particular issue about this letter. But, Honorable Speaker, the Minority Leader, sorry. Honorable Speaker, you know, they say any name can raise a baby. And today you are the majority, tomorrow you can be the minority. There's absolutely nothing wrong with me, the slip of the tongue, referring to the Honorable Pio and I as a leader of majority. At times I've had people, the slip of the tongue, refer to Junet as a majority whip. At times I am referred to as a minority leader, majority whip. Any name is a name, provided we do what we are here to do. And Honorable Pio will tell you, in the last parliament, when we were with him here, the majority side, that was Jubilee, became the minority and had to depend on the minority side in its own government to pretend to be the majority. The leader of majority then, the Honorable Kimunya, the last 2 years, was the leader of the majority, but was actually a leader of the minority from the majority side. Because the Honorable Aden Duale, who was a ranking member like the Honorable John Buddy, was the leader of the majority on the majority side. But moving on, Honorable Speaker, I was thanking the Honorable Pio for raising this issue because it's important that we all get to an understanding not just of the import of this letter, but the import of all the proposed amendments that we will do to the finance bill, Honorable Speaker. And it's good that when you are responding to the Honorable Nyikal, you did point out some of those issues. And principally, Honorable Speaker, the last point that I added, that this being a money bill, we must get the concurrence of the National Treasury. And there is reason as to why the drafters of our Constitution, Article 114, put that particular provision of concurrence with the National Treasury. Honorable Speaker, if you read that letter, it points to provisions of the law as it is. Professor Ndungu, who assigned this letter, is not referring to anything that is outside of the law and the provisions of our Constitution. He refers to Section 39(4)(c) of the PFM Act, which requires that any increase in expenditure in a proposed appropriation is balanced by a reduction in expenditure in another proposed appropriation. Honorable Speaker, he goes on to quote Section 45 of the PFM Act and other sections of the PFM Act that indicate that if we are to reduce the proposed revenue estimates, Honorable Speaker, then concurrently and I said it on Tuesday, something must give in. If we reduce taxes that are proposed to be the revenue-raising measures to finance the budget that we have adopted, then we must find a way of either reducing expenditure, the expenditure side, because if you don't do so, what you will do is increase the fiscal deficit. It is this House, Honorable Speaker, and I was hoping the Honorable Njuguna Ndung'u had pointed to it, and I see he hadn't, that we passed a debt ceiling in this House. We cannot go beyond that which we have passed in this House. The National Treasury cannot borrow beyond a certain point, a ceiling that we have set by law in this House. And therefore, if we're asking that let us reduce the revenues, but don't touch the expenditure side, what we are doing is simply telling the National Treasury, increase the fiscal deficit against the law. And we cannot act against the law. I know we are the lawmakers, but we are not allowed by the Constitution to act ultra vires the Constitution. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, what the Cabinet Secretary, it could be a preemptive. It could be preemptive that I want to agree with the Honorable Pio. It is preempting debate, but the Honorable Njuguna Ndung'u, CS Njuguna Ndung'u, is not engaging in debate. This is an advisory opinion to us, reminding us that we need to abide by the Constitution and by our own laws, Honorable Speaker. The leader of minority spoke to the need, and he has asserted that the right thing, and he said it so emphatically you would want to believe him, that the right thing to do is to do a supplementary budget. That is the wrong thing to do. It is the wrong thing to do, Honorable Speaker, because you cannot begin from a mistake and say now we will break the law at this particular stage, then we will fix it with a supplementary budget. Supplementary budget should only come in once we have in the first instance, bound by what is provided for in the law. We have not burst our fiscal deficit as stipulated under our PFM Act. And if in the course of implementation of this budget, there are additional expenditures that then would lead to a bursting of that fiscal deficit, then we call for a supplementary budget. But we cannot say that at this point what we should be doing is a supplementary budget. What shall we be supplementing if we are even yet to pass the appropriations bill? We need to pass the appropriations bill and the finance bill so that we complete the budget-making cycle. Once you complete the budget-making cycle, then after that you can do a supplementary budget. But we cannot complete a budget-making cycle against the law. And that is what Honorable Pio and I is telling us that we should do. It is my humble submission, Honorable Speaker, then, that this letter is in good standing, and this is the way it is. I saw a number of votes, Honorable Speaker, and I said on Tuesday, Honorable Speaker, when this report was tabled, that someone once quipped that choices have consequences. And in lawmaking, the same is true. If we choose to cut on our revenue-raising measures, as the Finance Committee has proposed, there will definitely be consequences. Honorable Speaker, I am fortunate to have been in this House in the last Parliament. The Honorable Andai, who has raised this issue, and the Honorable Junet were in this House in 2018. In 2018, Honorable Speaker, you remember the contentious Uhuru second term, the second finance bill. It was equally contentious. And you remember the debate that was there then about fuel, from 16%, 8%, from 0% VAT. And when we did the revenue-raising measures bill in the form of a finance bill, consequently, we had to adjust the expenditure side. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, it is not the first time it is happening, and it is not the last time. Therefore, if our JSS teachers, who we appropriated resources to hire, if there isn't adequate resources to hire JSS teachers, then something has to give in. If there is a road in Ugunja constituency that was to be tarmacked, and the resources are not enough, or in Kikuyu constituency for that matter, then we just have to do away with them, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, I just want to ask the Honorable Pio to hold his horses. In actual fact, what we are doing now is anticipating debate, Honorable Speaker. We are the ones now who are anticipating debate because we are yet to complete the finance bill, because at the conclusion of the finance bill, it is only at that point we'll be able to tell the net effect of all the changes that have been made and decide whether then we need whatever quantum we need to adjust on the expenditure side. Honorable Speaker, let me just conclude by saying we cannot and we shall not have our cake and eat it at the same time. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order. Honorable members, this issue is very straightforward, but for purposes of record, I'll give you a direction at 2:30. Meanwhile, we proceed with debate. It has absolutely no impact on the debate going on. I will give you a direction at 2:30. Order, Honorable Wandai, you have so ably prosecuted your case, and the majority leader has responded. Budget chairman, I will in fact pass on these letters to you. So I'm not opening debate on this. Call out the next order. Order, honorable members, order. When I came to the chamber, I had seen this letter. And I had also my own feelings about it. I'll give you direction at 2:30. I don't have to consume parliamentary time debating something that is very clear in my mind. My thoughts are very rich, Junet. Have you called us? Order, honorable members, order. Back to the finance bill. We have 120 requests. With 120 requests, at 5 minutes, we need about 9 to 10 hours. Can I ask the majority and minority leader to approach the chair? The majority and minority leader approach the chair. Order, honorable members. Order. Wangela, take your seat. Order. Badi, take your seat. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, I want us to proceed as follows. We have Honorable Zambia, who has 3.5 minutes to go. I've told you how many of you have keyed in. At 7 a.m. this morning, 50 members had already keyed in. But that shows the intensity of interest in the bill. We will start the debate now up to 1.